Okay, so, alrighty, so it's Rena, and we're going to start again. So basically, I'm at the point where we have hopefully a couple minutes and people will start to show up again. Let's see, do we have anyone yet? So, all right, this is Rena again, and now I am back, and we have completed, if you are part of this tutorial, you have completed your 2 layers of a ribbon skirt. Oh, hello, Miss Judy. Can you close this door? Thank you. So you will have 2 sections now of your completed ribbon sewn. If you haven't already done so, go and cut your little threads off of your ribbon, off of your any stray threads you have off of your ribbon skirt on the front and the back, because that'll make your job a little bit easier when we continue. So let's see if we have anybody in here. Good, we do. Okay, so let's get this going over here. Now what we're going to do, now that we have 2 sides done, is we're going to go back over here again. Let's turn this light up a bit. And we're going to come over here with our pins again, okay? So I've got my pins. And this is where it gets really easy. See all of this stuff? All of your threads to the side. If you haven't, I don't always go and clip at the side and cut it all at once, because I'll do that all at one time when I line it up. So what I'm going to do is you see how this one's this way? Facing me? I'm now going to take this one and I'm going to match them up by ribbon. You don't want to match them up by the top and the bottom. If your ribbon doesn't line up, it's not gonna help if you do that. You can be a couple, like a few centimeters off or so on and so forth. It's not really gonna hurt you in the grand scheme of things. So then you want to go and pin your ribbon first. Sorry guys, my voice is getting a little raspy. So once you have all of your ribbon pinned on both sides, then you're going to work yourself up to the top. And the reason that I do it that way is because you're going to want to really adjust it. Make sure that it's laying as it should down the sides like that. See how that does that? And then I just pick up my pins and I usually work from the ribbon out, like this. I'll go downward. Because if I end up with a little bit of extra fabric, then what I do is I can compensate for that when I iron it over, because we're going to do a rolled hem and a rolled waistline. Let's see. So that one's done right there, and then I come up here and I do the same thing, and then I repeat it on over to the other side. I was laying down a little bit. Okay, tried to rest a little bit so we can do the home stretch together. Okay, so now you're going to do the same thing on this side. Match the ribbon up one by one, and this is when you're going to make your cut on all of your threads and your ribbons, okay? You're going to get all of it off to the side. I kind of brush it this way. I have taken any stray threads off of here. Oh, I missed one. Let me grab my scissors. I missed one. See, that happens. Got to go back and check these things. Okay, so, and if you've done it right, your back of your ribbon skirt should look really pretty. I mean, they even have the zigzag and you can see the colors through it. It looks pretty with it like that. Anyways, to me, ribbon skirts for my culture, it's very special to wear a ribbon skirt. And they're now our young women and are standing in their power with powerful messages. Did you see the one that Deb Highland had the other day on? She was wearing one that was just beautiful. It had the corn on it and applique. It was so pretty. So there are so many talented people out there, I tell ya. But for our people, you know, ribbons were a way to keep, like I said, to keep your color shining bright when people tried to silence you. And it was also, like I said, a way to use things that we had taken away from us, and it was something that we were good at and we traded with too. You know, sewing lots of different things. That's why beading was taken away, because people paid for beading. Okay, so now I have my pins over here, which I'll take over with me in a minute. I've got all of my threads this way, and I'm going to take my roller at the side and just go along my fabric like this, over the ribbon that's extra. We don't want extra ribbon. This one's a little extra. It wants to stay. It's extra, extra. Okay, so we've got this all out of the way. And, oh, I see another one right there, right there. Get that one off right there. Okay, so we have all that one done. Now we're going to repeat on this side. If you see anything that needs to be clipped, clip it. There you go. Now come over here. Make sure you don't roll over your pins. It's easy to do if you're not watching. Okie dokie. There's that one right there. Oh, that one's a little thick. The satin is a little harder to cut than the half satin because it is thicker. Okay, so now you've got your two sides like this. You're going to go over to the sewing machine, and you're simply going to do a straight stitch down both sides. And then we're going to come back to the ironing board, and we're going to iron our seam open. Okay? So I'm going to go over here real quick. And actually, I'm not going to use gold on this part. I'm going to use gold as my top stitch, but I'm going to use white for the actual skirt construction, white cotton thread. So this is something that my son's father made out of a bread thing for me. It's so cool. And I can put my thread here, my cone, and then put it behind here and just do my sewing machine up normal. And it makes it really, really easy to use bigger threads on a machine like this, because as you know, usually they don't have the big thread area. Okay, so we're gonna set this up. That in there. Okie dokie. Change out the gold, set that aside, and put the white back in. Now I prefer to use a cotton thread, or some kind of thread other than the satin, the embroidery thread when it comes to stitches, because I find it's a little bit thicker and more durable. Okay, so let's turn this on. Bring you up. And I am off. There we go. Let's pick this up. And then we'll go over here and I'll show you how to iron. While you're doing the same thing I'm doing, I'll finish this up and we'll get moving on to the ironing part. You want to go 5/8 of a seam, 5/8 of an inch on your guide. Always use your guide's back stitch because it'll anchor you and it makes it so your stitches don't come undone. If you're used to sewing, you can do some sewing machines have speeds. Mine is allowed to go faster or slower. I'm really used to sewing, so to me, I don't have a problem with that. Go as fast as you feel comfortable with. Everybody has their own speed, you know? So you're going to go up both sides. Okay, I'm going over the ribbon now. going to connect it, and then I'm going to show you how it's going to look when on the other side if we've done it right. Ah, here comes my son, the baby of the family, on his way home. He spent the night at Grandma's last night. Okay. There we go. See, you use a lot of pins, don't you? My son's father was so sweet. He brought me extra pins the other day. I kept running out of pins. I had so many skirts going out. Okay, remember to back stitch it back again. That anchors your stitches. Okay, flip it over and repeat. Do the other side. These are really simple construction. A-shaped dresses are, A-line dresses are A-shaped. What's wrong with me today? A-line dresses are pretty easy to construct if you're using an elastic waist and you're not putting in a zipper or anything like that. And plus, they make you look nicer and not boxy. Some of the skirts I've seen when people don't do a traditional A-line is not flattering. We want flattering lines, don't we? Okay. Almost there. Always make sure that if you lift up your presser foot, if you're new to sewing, that you always you have your needle down when you do that. Some of the newer machines will not stop in the up. Like if you're sewing, it'll stop in the down position, which is good. See, mine always stops in the down position. Oh, there's another one of those little strays that I forgot. Just gonna take my seam ripper that I did not need on this skirt. Thank goodness. Sometimes you have to use a seam ripper, so always have one of these little guys. They can go right in on the top and open up a seam if you need to have it done on the zigzags. Okay. So now you're going to want to have all your pins available when you go over to the ironing board. There we go. Let's finish this one up. Okay, got it. Let's go on over to this side right here. All right, so now you should have a shell like this. And if we've done it right, I have to cut a couple of threads out. That's okay. But see how those line up? Really pretty. And when you've got your skirt, it looks like one continuous line. Let's see how the other side is. Aha! There we go. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to hold our skirt like this, and we're going to go open up the seam with the iron. And the reason we're doing this is because it will lay flatter. Sometimes people don't do that and then they end up with bulk, and it'll lay flatter when you're actually, this is a professional way to do it, I guess. But we're going to go open this up on both sides and iron all the way down. Grabbing anything I can to look through. Does this work? Does this work? Pretty blind lately. It's crazy. Picked up glasses in all sorts of places trying to figure out if maybe I can just find one that's close enough. Doesn't quite work that way. Okay, so here I am. I'm going to go straight down the seam like this, all the way down. See that? Go straight down. You want to make sure your iron is good and hot. Mine is not on all the way, and I thought it was. Okay, so let's let it get hot. It should take not too long, and we'll do that. So when we do this, okay, so I can tell you pretty much what we're going to do here ahead of time. Once you have all of this ironed, and you know which, you've already got your length and everything where you're going to have it. You've got your threads trimmed and everything else, which you can still do afterwards. Don't worry about that so much because you can still do that at any stage. What you're going to do is we're going to do a roll, iron up the bottom of the hem about 1/2 inch. And then we're going to roll it again, and that's where we're going to pin it so that you'll have a finished hem. So let's go ahead and iron this down like this. Here we go. All the way down. Make sure that's flat up there. Get it as flat as you can. Your seam should be able to go flat, especially if you have cotton, which I only ever make a ribbon skirt out of cotton. Well, that's not true. I do have a couple textiles that are some wool that I'm going to make some skirts out of, but it's not quite the same. There we go. I do have some, no, I do have cotton. They're textiles. They're okay. So anyways, you're going to go up and down like this. Get it flat on both sides. We're going to move on to this side. Now that the iron is nice and hot, so I can make this a little bit better over here. Okay. A hot iron is your friend. Let me tell you something. If you use an iron, everything will always lay correctly. If you do not use an iron, you will find out that that you could make mistakes you never knew you could make. Nothing will lay right. It'll look homemade rather than, you know, really well done. It won't look as finished, is what I'm trying to say. And you don't necessarily have to have a serger to make it finished, because remember, people have been tailors forever, but you have to have some consistency in what you're doing. So as we're doing this, you see how this comes together here, and it may be a little bit up here. It goes up. I'm just going to trim that and make it more round. I'll show you. I'm not taking much off, just a little bit, because I don't want the bulk right here when I roll it up. If I kept that there, this would be bulky, and we want that to be 1 inch. All right, we're going to roll up for not 1 inch, 1/2 inch. We're going to roll up 1/2 inch, and then we're going to roll up again. And you're going to go all the way around your skirt like this. And then once you've got all the way around it, you're going to repeat the other and just roll it up 1 inch. And that will be where you pin it, and you'll end up being able to sew a hem in that. And then we'll go on to the top. And after the top, you're going to put your elastic in, finish up your seam, and you will have a ribbon skirt. You can move as slow as you want or as quick as you want. I like to get ironing over with. And I do go over everything afterwards with my blotting cloth, which is here. I use a piece of muslin right here. And I just have a piece like this. It's about this big, wide, and 44 inches, normal piece. And what I do is I'll put it over my ribbon, spray my fabric in my ribbon, then put it over my ribbon, and I'll iron my ribbon. And my ribbon always lies really flat and beautiful. When you do that, you don't have to spray it, starch it, anything. Just want to give it a little bit of love, not a lot of fuss. Okay, so we're approaching the other side, and if I did it right, see how that's going to end up the same? It actually meets up to the other side. It's not hard to put that little half an inch turn. Now I'm going to go, I usually start at my side seams, right down the side right here. So I'm going to now take this, roll it up in about an inch, and I'm going to iron, and then I'm going to go around and pin it after I've ironed it. The reason I do it that way is because I'm faster than having to pick up pins every time doing it this way. I'm going to strip over. I made 9, well, I can't say I made. So last week I had huge, ambitious dreams of getting tons of stuff done before I went for surgery. And my week put me in my place. Creator was like, you need to stop thinking what you can do. and listen to me, and I'm going to put you in your place because it's not about you. You got to take care of you. But you need to let other people do things. And I was laughing. I was like, oh, come on now. So I told myself, no, I can do this. I can make 30 skirts. Bring that back down a little bit. Always remember to bring it down. Because when you're doing this, you're going to hold it taut again when you're sewing. And you're not going to have to worry about how you're lying here. You just want to make sure it's an inch around all the way around. So anyways, I started ambitiously thinking, oh, okay, I can make 30 skirts because Christmas is coming up, and I know a lot of people have been asking me to please make some of these skirts because every time they try to get some of the skirts, they're already gone, and they're looking for some ribbon skirts. And so I said, okay, I'll do it. So I thought I could get a whole bunch done. I ended up completing 9 ribbon skirts and 3 blankets in a week and a half. And I don't think that's so bad. And today that'll be 10. So now you're going to take your pins and you're just going to go around and stick them in and secure that so that when you're actually moving, now if you have clips, that's fine. Clips are the same. But I use pins because you're going to want to stitch right here on the edge. Do a top stitch. I don't turn it on this side. I turn it on this side so I can use my seam and see exactly where I'm stitching, okay? Just go in a circle, get your pins in, and if you pin it into place, you're going to be able to make it work with you no matter what. See how if I do this, it gets taut? That's exactly what's going to happen to you. Don't worry if it's not exact. As long as you've got your pins in place, you're fine. Okay, see how I'm just skipping and skipping. Almost there. And then we'll go on to the top and we'll iron the top down. And then I go over there to the sewing machine and I do three almost complete circles around the dress in stitching. And I'll explain what that means in a minute, because this is the important part. Aside from how to put the ribbon on, is the important part is how to get the top to work correctly and have your ribbon have this kind of a pouch. You have to fold it over, do a stitch, and do a bottom stitch as well. So you'll end up with about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, depending on what you want for your top. Okay, that's for your actual waistline. We'll get there in a minute. Let's get this done. And then we will tackle the waist after we sew this in a circle for one of our loops. So after you do this, you're going to want to take it over to the sewing machine and you're going to stitch all the way around, front to back, all the way. And you're going to end up at the seam, close it off, cut your little strings, bring it back over here, and you're just going to press it with this, because what's going to happen is all of the little ways that you don't think it's going to lay straight, if you got your pins in there, it's going to lay straight now, and it's just going to put it into its form. It's going to make it so that it's smooth. Okay, so let's take this over there, and then we will just do a seam around here, and we'll go back to the ironing board. Okay. Got my pins. I like to start right there because you don't see it on the sides. If you have it in the front, you're going to see your back stitch a little more. Okay, just going to go around on the top stitch right here. Right here. You're going to go right on your top stitch. See? Pull it taut. Pull it taut again, and repeat. This is when, if you have one of those legs that's removable, take it off because it'll really help you to use your arm this way. And then I would recommend putting it back on for your ribbon because it gives you more of a place to actually lay your skirt, your ribbon flat. Pull it taut again. Now, on something like this, I may go around later if I want to and do the right over this same stitch. I may use the gold, just depending on how it looks. I may use the gold on the top stitch for the top, for the waist. It's all just personal choice. I think it would tie in nicely though. Okay, we're almost there. Thank goodness, because I'm getting poked. Alright. So when you guys send your ribbon skirt pictures in, please, please, please let us know that you have them. Send them to pr@sewingfornativenations.org or even post them on the page. We would love to see them. And if you're part of the group, post them in the group too. Our group, they love to see things like this. And I can't wait to see all of your creations. So see how we're over here? We're going to finish it off. sewing machine, to the ironing board now, so that we can finish off the top of the skirt. And that's where you're going to measure your elastic for your waist. And if you're not sure of what the elastic is, or you're gifting it to someone, for like example, if I'm donating a skirt to the fundraiser, what I'll do is I'll leave a little bit of the space open so that I can have an extra long piece of elastic, and that way if there is someone that wants larger size or a smaller size, I can just make the adjustments on the elastic at that point. So now we're going to go to the top, because now you have a finished bottom, okay? Remember to go over that with your iron. This looks really good to me. I'm just going to clip these little threads off in a minute, and we're going to move on to the top. Oops. Okay. So here we are over here again. Got my scissors over here, so when I need to make a little clip, I can do so. And now I'm going to put on the top part here, because I want to work on the top. So I'm going to do, again, I'm going to do a 1/2 inch over. And I'm going to iron it all the way around. Go in a circle, do the same thing you did before. Now some people may need to have a tape measure and just measure that 1/2 inch. That's perfectly okay. Don't think there are any hard, fast rules. You just want to make sure you're getting it all down and doing it right so that it'll turn out right for you. Okay, almost there. We've got 1/2 of it done, and then we're going to do another turn and we'll pin that. And then I'll show you where I stitch again, and we'll be ready for the elastic. We're on the home stretch. Oh yeah, home stretch. Do 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 do. Getting into my happy groove, my happy place. It's always fun when you can see it coming together, you know? You can see what's happening, and whoop, over here, sorry. It's always fun when you can see what's happening. Okay, so now we're just going to fold again. Let me grab my pins again. Because we're just going to fold again, and then we're going to pin. So now you're going to fold, and I believe it was 2 inches. I have to measure myself because I just do it by eyeball. I believe it was, I think it's 2 inches. Yes, 2 inches down. And you're going to, all the way across, go 2 inches. And the way you want to do this is by twist. You want to make sure your fabric turns, because you're going to have some of it's almost going to be on the bias, because it starts to turn into the bias, so you'll end up with more of a bend on your fabric because it is around the waist. It's the way that it's cut, because when you cut it like it's kind of like this. You're going inward like this, and it gets more stretchy on the bias. So 2 inches around all the way. Now this is where I get a little piece of ribbon, whatever ribbon you want. You don't need much, because you're going to sew the ribbon in the back so that you can mark which is the back and which is the front of your skirt. If you don't have labels, this is a great way to be able to mark your skirts. Okay, there we go. Almost done here. See how that curves a little bit? Just lay it all the way around, go, and then on your last pass, go around and pin it. We are almost there. Here we are, right here. See? And it lined up just perfect. I'm just going to do this. Going to go around, and I'm going to pin at the bottom. And the reason that I don't pin at the top is because at the top we're going to go in at 1/2 inch, and we're going to sew all the way around once. Then you're going to come down to here, and you're going to top stitch this down. So I just hold it down to the bottom so that it does not move. It stays in place. And the top will also stay in place because the bottom's in place. Missed a little spot right there. Like I said, the iron is your friend. It makes everything lay right. Then you don't end up with puckering and everything else. Okay. So you may think that it's not going to lay straight, but believe me, it will be perfectly fine. So like I said before, you can use those little clips for a lot of things, but you do need pins for ribbon skirts. It's pretty important to have your pins. Okay, so now we're going to go over to the sewing machine, and we're going to do up at the top and down at the bottom of this section. Now, what I do, let me get my ribbon, because I always I have this ribbon that I think's pretty, but you really can't use it for much else on sewing on a ribbon skirt anyways. So I take a little piece like this and fold it over. I stick it in the middle of the skirt, middle of the on the back, whichever side I have is the back, and then I'll find the middle right here, and I will do this. Just stick it in here, put a pin, just like this, and put that in place. So see how that's going to show me that the back is right there? And then if I also have to loop it on something, I can do that. Okay, so let's go over here. And oh yes, right here, you're going to start, so you're going to have your ribbon skirt here. Okay, here's your ribbon skirt. Here's the middle right here of the back, right? Here's your side seam. Between here and here, I'm going to put one of these, 2 of them together, like this. This will mark my spot to stop. Between where I start my stitching and here, okay? Because this is going to be, well, probably not that big even, maybe this big, because you need about the inch space, a little more than an inch to get in there to put your elastic in. Now we're going to go over here and sew. Okay, so we're back over here now. Now, remember what I said about the top where you want to do your stitch right here? You're going to want to go 1/2 inch down from the top. Now on that, I start on the side, because that way you don't end up with the back and forth ending up in your front. Remember, your iron helped you to make everything lay flat. It's going to be easy to do. So I'm going to go in here for 1/2 inch. Oh, listen to me. I say start on the side, and I didn't start on the side. I started. Where are you? There you are. Okay. All right. So, there we go. All the way down, 1/2 inch. So I tell you a little story. When my mom, when I was in, when I was younger, my mom and dad had us living overseas, and my mom, I was in home economics, and the instructor gave us an assignment. Uh-oh, there went my bobbin, I think. So what's going on here? Ooh, I almost bit it. My bobbin got messed up. There we go. Now it's good. I'll have to trim that off afterwards. It got stuck on there. Okay, so know your machine. Know when something is different. Don't be afraid to stop and go back and fix it up, because you're not going to hurt it. You can go back to where you were, just back stitch it in gently, right over the same lines. There we go. So I was in home economics, and my mother, who's this master seamstress, she used to sew for all of her siblings. She has 12 siblings. She's the eldest of 12. And she helped me with my sewing project. And I stayed up all night sewing my sewing project. Well, I go to school the next day, and I get up, and my sewing project has turned into, it was Cinderella. It turned into a beautiful bag. My mom went to town and she decorated the whole thing. And I almost got in trouble for that. Oh, but, you know, my mom, everybody, Native, we love to make things pretty and stand out and part of us. It's part of our, it's good medicine. But I love my mom. She's a funny lady. Okay, so we're almost there. I'm going to finish up the bottom round. Okay, we're almost there. We're right here. And then remember to leave that space open. We're going to put our elastic in. Once you have your elastic in, you can iron your skirt, and I'll show you how I do that real quick. I know you guys can iron just fine, but some of us may not have ever used an iron, let's be honest. But I like to do that because when you're gifting them, it just looks so pretty, and it shows that you took the extra time into something. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to start where I showed you before. Let's find our back. Here's our back. And we're going to start at this one and stop at this one, because there's the 2 pins, right? And just do a seam right here and you'll be fine. Back and forth again. Get it anchored. And on this, I always go slow and I stretch my material taut, because that way it will lace the way it's supposed to. I like making Navajo skirts too. They're the tiered ones, and you have to gather a lot. But they're very beautiful. I want to make one this year for Christmas, for me, for special occasions, for graduations and things. But I need to find a good source for velvet. Almost coming around again, so you're going to want to be cognizant of those 2 pins and stop where those 2 pins are. Now, if I decide this is too plain because of the white against the white and I wanted a little more of a finished look, I may go around and do a top stitch of the gold on the top right here and right here. It just depends on how the skirt looks to me. Sometimes I think it needs that little extra flare balance, and other times it's just fine. So I encourage you to look at your skirts. Sometimes when I pin a skirt, I will actually pin and then say, you know what, I don't like how that is. Let me think about it, and I'll put it up here on my wall. And it gives me time to see if I like the way it's lying out. And if I don't, I can rework it. Okay, so we're coming around to that side again. I'm going to go over the ribbon. As I go over the back ribbon to mark the back, I always go over it a couple times, so I will go back and forth a little bit. Make sure that you have enough ribbon in there pulled up, because otherwise it'll pull out. There we go. There we go. Okay, we're coming up on that spot, and that's where I'm going to stop and go back and forth. Actually, you know what? I'm going to come to here because I actually didn't start here. I'll stop here and then start here because I messed up. Should have started a little bit earlier. Okay. Move it on over. Up. Okay. So I will have to cut all of that thread off right there. And that will be done on the top. Now we're ready to put our elastic in. So on this part, you're going to literally want your pin that you want to take your elastic through. And you're going to get your elastic, and we're going to go over here and we're going to just sit and put the elastic in and cut off our edges. So as I sit here, kind of show you what I'm doing. I'm just going to go over, cut off my threads. Any threads that you see, take them off. You don't need them. They're just making you look messy. And this is where I did my second stitch right here, go on the inside. So I was a little sad today because I saw that our sacred grounds for Mount Madonna are on fire. So please say a prayer for Mount Madonna, all the life up there. So here you go. Here's your skirt. This is what it will look like. You're going to turn it right side out now. And you have a skirt. Now you're going to put the elastic on. To do elastic, you're going to take it around your waist like this. And you're going to just say, where do I want it? Now, because I'm making this one and I don't know what the person will be like, I'm going to make it a little bigger so that they can make it bigger if they want to. And if somebody who has a smaller size or a bigger size wants this skirt and they decide to get it, then what will happen is that it will, they'll be able to make it larger or shorter. I can make it for them. So basically what I'm doing is getting a larger piece in there, and I can always adjust it. okay? When I sew a skirt, if you are sewing a skirt to gift to somebody, you want to make sure that you leave this part open when you start. Because if you don't leave this one part open that we have for inserting the elastic, you will end up having to unpick it and do the right side elastic for the person that you're gifting it to when you have to do that. So, all right, so now we're going to find our pins. Where did I put those pins? Hold on one second. I have to go find them real quick. Okay. So, always have a big pin. I mean, the ones that I like the best are the baby pins because they don't, these oftentimes you have to make sure that they're wanting to go, not wanting to close on you. So make sure that they're not overused, because if they are and you're inside your skirt, I've had pins before open up on me and not been able to get them back out except for by pulling the whole thing out. Okay. Let's see. Did I just see it? I did. A couple threads are throwing me off. There they go. Okay. So now you're going to take your elastic. Another thread. This is why I always keep little scissors handy by, because you never know if you've got extra threads or you've gotten them all. If you haven't gotten them all, it's easy to just stick in there and go like that. Okay? So now you're going to take right here and you're going to just feed your elastic through to the other side. But you'd want to make sure that you're not allowing your elastic to go all the way through. So I kind of lay mine out and keep an eye on it, because then I know how much I'm actually putting it through. And you'll see how pretty this starts to look. We're almost there. Okay. Now the trick on the edges is pull them out and stick this through. It's just like, it's kind of like fishing line, like baiting something. You just stick it right through and latch it, and you grab it. It'll get tight here. It's okay, because you're going to make all of this work over on this side. Keep your elastic straight. You don't want to twist it. If you twist it, you're going to have an elastic that is not working right, and you'll have to start over again. Definitely ready for this surgery. Guys, be praying for me on Tuesday, please. I have surgery on Tuesday, and I'm very nervous about it. Let me tell you. Okay, see that one again? Here's the trick. Pop them open. Yeah, you have to be close enough. Pop them open and stick this through, like that. See how that goes straight through? And we're almost to this hole here. Going to keep that straight, and we're going to come out here. Now this is where I usually will take my pin if I'm not ready to sew it closed yet. Now if you're ready to sew it closed, you're going to take your sewing machine and you're just going to do a stitch here, a stitch here. You're going to let it go inside, and you're going to close your seam up. It's as easy as that. Right here. Your seam will be stitched closed with the elastic inside flat. Okay? I'll show you one that's literally done that way. Well, basically, any elastic waist that you see is going to be that way. So I'm going to put my elastic in place here so that I can move my elastic around now. So I have now pinned
the elastic to each other, both sides together, and to my skirt, because I'm going to go around and I'm going to adjust the elastic now. And I don't want that elastic to go inside the skirt. Okie dokie. And then what I would do is normally this would be sucked inside, and I would put this flat like this, and I would just do a top stitch on the bottom. That's it. And then you will have a completed ribbon skirt. Isn't that pretty? You see, I can even stick it on and show you what it's going to look like, even though I have multiple layers on, okay? So let's just show you what this looks like. Okay. And then you wear your belt here. You have, like on this one, I have my belt. These are the Sacred Yay. See? Just like that. And you'd have your blouse on, and your mocks on, or your shoes, and you're ready to go. So, this is the end of the tutorial. And I hope you guys had a beautiful ribbon skirt teaching. Oh, I will show you this before I go. Remember what I told you about ironing it. Remember? When you iron your ribbon, because you don't want to scald it, you don't ever want to scorch your ribbon, because that defeats the whole purpose of your skirt. It will show and you will go, oh no, my skirt's ruined. Uh-oh, I think I just had a pin go crazy over there. So what you would do is you're going to take it over here like this, okay? And say your ribbon's here, yeah? I'm just going to show you quickly, and you'll see how this right here, how it's all bumpy right here. See how that looks bumpy? Watch how pretty this is going to lie. Now, I would normally do this the other way around, just for the sake of this, showing you this. I'm doing it this way, because I would normally do this, turn it around, and do the top part also. Get my water, spray it down, get my muslin, throw it over, get my iron, and just go over it and let it go to the sides, just up and down on the ribbon, not sideways because you'll stretch it, but if you go up and down on your ribbon, look how pretty that looks. It starts to go really flat. That one's wet still. But you can see in here, see how that looks flat now? Compared to up here, could use some more. This is flat, but then you go over here, it's like all bumpy. So it really does make a difference on your ribbon, how it lies. You see that? So, all right, guys. Well, that's that. And if you guys have any questions whatsoever, or you want to know what was used, or how much is something, or you have question on measurements or anything like that, feel free to let us know. Sewing for Native Nations, we love you. We hope that you enjoyed this ribbon teaching. And if you need anything for, if you like to sew and you're not in Sewing for Native Nations, we need you. So come check us out, because we've got vital PPEs that we supply to Native Nations all over the place in the United States, and also outside of the United States, also in Canada for Native Nations. And we have literally hundreds of thousands of requests. So if you are someone that can help us, please do. We love you. And if you're already there, thank you for everything you do. We love you. Keep doing it. I hope you guys had a great day. Bye. How do I got off?